All right, good morning guys. Welcome to the Agro Trans family. What we're doing today is we're going to get scaled in and head over to the barn and show you how to pick up a load of milk. Every scale house is a little bit different, but typically if they don't have an attendant, you got to scale in yourself. And when you do that, you're going to go ahead and set your invoice in, hit the print button. Very simple. It's important to notice that there's certain informations that need to be on here. This one here at T&K lacks the time, and we will make sure that we put the time on our ticket when we get out to the barn. Right, so we have come out to T&K barn number 2. Through your training, you're going to come out to this area quite frequent. You're going to get very familiar with the process out here. What I like to do when I start with everybody is teach them to grab the things that they're going to need. Consistency is key. That's just how you make your time up out on the farms, and you always show with accuracy. So as you'll notice, I got my binder, I've got my clipboard with my labels, my seals, my pins, my wash tag. I've got my phone in my pocket, and now I'm going to walk around the front of my truck and I'm going to grab the few other items that I need on the other side. One thing that happens is you'll develop your own system in the way you like to do things. But if you have the same general startup and finish process, you're going to find that you never miss a step. So what we do is we come to the back of the truck here, and while many people call this a fender, I call it my desk. And this is where I go ahead and put all my things down, and then I start the open up process. The first step is always to open the top of the tank. It's a safety issue. If you open up the back of the tank and temperatures are right, there's a vacuum and it could crumple the trailer. So we want to start from the beginning at the top every time. While you're up here, it's always important when you offload, many times these vent caps get loosened up. You want to tighten those up so you don't have any random leaks going down the road when you're loaded. Take a peek in. We know that we're light, but we are also empty. I'm going to open up the back of my trailer. The most important thing to do is to make sure that we are consistent every time that we do this, so that we have the right contacts, the right information, and that we're always transferring milk the right way. One of the big things that happens at this job is the hose will out wrestle the driver. Don't be shy. You got to be willing to work it. I always loosen up this bottom knuckle first. We want it plenty loose, but you don't want to detach it. Let me go to the top one. And we're going to loosen that up. Now I know that it's open for me. I'm going to come over and spin that off, and then I'm going to make sure that I have that gasket inside there. Okay, there's a small gasket inside. I'm going to drag my hose over. And now it's time to disinfect that hose. Grab our disinfectant solution, and we're going to go ahead and hit the threads on the trailer inside. And then we're going to get the threads on our hose inside. One of the things that I really like to point out, we are moving a product that nearly 100% of people enjoy on a daily basis. Imagine your family getting a hold of milk that you actually transported. The sour cream that you made happen at Daisy. These are all things that you get to touch and say that you had a part of. And the most important thing is, how would you feel if you transported milk that got somebody sick? Always respect the process, and always respect that we want to be as clean as possible. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten down because I don't want to leak. One thing you will find is there will always be little leaks, and we don't cry about spilt milk here. But we want to try to keep it as clean as possible. So I've tightened up the bottom one. Now we're going to go to the top one and connect it completely to the truck. Okay, we are now connected, and we're ready to open our plunger for our system. So what we're going to do, we're going to pull this out and pop our plunger. And we use a cotter pin because the pressures that we're actually going to be working with are pretty strong, and we don't ever want that to close. I'll get into the reason why a little bit later. Outside and prepare to receive milk. Our job now is to go inside and test the milk and make sure that it's appropriate to take to the next location. I need a thermos. I need my sanitizer, my cooler, and the sample bottles inside my cooler. I also have my thermometer in my pocket, and we're ready to go. Even though my dispatch said we're working here, I'm going to verify my amounts that I have in my tanks, and I'm going to verify with the milkers that this is what they want. I feel like if we work hard with the milkers and we do it the way they need and we communicate what we're seeing here with dispatch, it makes our job as drivers that much more efficient. So come with me, we're going to go see the milkers and all the cows. Here, we know that we're probably going to empty tank 6 and then go to tank 5, but we're going to go make sure that that's what they want. There's no reason to go down the alley and interrupt these gentlemen when they're working. I always stand here, I'll get somebody's attention, and then the foreman or the lead will come over and talk with me. All right, so we just went and talked with the foreman for the milkers, and he proved the reason why you want to talk to him. If you come over here to the weights for the tanks, you're going to see here is tank 4 has 150,000 pounds in it. Tank 5 has 167,000 pounds. Tank 6 has 24,000. Dispatch understood it that we needed to empty 6 first and go to 5. Talking to them, they want 4 emptied first. They're loading into 6, and 5 is already full and will be the next one that they go to. It's always important to communicate. When you communicate, they're always apt to help you, and you're able to go ahead and take the right milk for the right load. So we're going to go ahead and get our items over to tank 4. And we're going to set them there. Now remember, your family's drinking this milk. You want to respect your family. And we're going to wash our hands. We're going to be clean in everything that we do at this point. And when you're taking your test with the state, this is a critical error point that people do make mistakes on. They get complacent. Make sure that you're being clean in your efforts. We're going to test the temperature of the milk to make sure that we're at 40 degrees or lower. If you ever experience a temperature reading that's above 40 degrees, it is your best solution to call dispatch and allow them to make a decision for you so that you're not liable for a very expensive load of milk. In order to take the temperature, you're going to grab a septum. This little plug here is where we access the milk. Again, we want it clean, so we're going to spray it with our disinfectant solution. Use the plastic cap, and we access it that way. Anything that's going to touch the milk that's going to be consumed is always sterile, as best as we can. We've got good milk flow. Now from here, we got to get a temperature. We use a thermos because this is how we guarantee a consistent reading. The first step is to chill the thermos to make sure the thermos is at lower temperature than the room temperature. I like to keep it in my ice chest normally. It makes for faster, but this is the way that they teach you, and the state said both ways work just fine. So now that I've got some milk in there, I'm going to go ahead and swirl it around and give it a chance to cool the inside of that cup. Again, we don't worry about spilt milk, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And I'm going to let it fill up about a quarter of the way. I want a good amount of milk in that cup so that I can get a good reading. I'm going to look. I got about a quarter in there. I'm going to set it down. I pull my thermostat out. Now the key is any thermostat does not work. It has to be a calibrated and measured one by the company and by somebody that's been authorized to do that. I place that in there and I allow it to do its thing. Remember what we said, anything under 40 is good. Well, it settled at about 38.6, so we know we're at a good spot. I take a picture with my phone, and that is critical. You want to take a picture. You don't want to just remember it. You need a photo. Now that that's done, I wipe that off, put it back in my pocket. We dump this out. Now it's time to collect our samples. Because we're only pulling out of one tank, I only needed 4 tubes. If we were pulling out of 2 tanks, we would need 6. But this time it's only 4, and we're going to fill 3 of them today. There's 1. Immediately into the ice bath. There's a reason for that. This is the way we communicate the quality of milk as it comes out of the tank to UDA so that it can be tested and appropriately managed and documented for future use. Immediately into the ice bath. That way it does not warm up at all. And then number 3, now we're in the ice. If you'll recall, I said we had 4 of them. The 4th one will be at the end of our load. So now at this point, we're ready to pull the septum. We want to put it away safely because these are extremely sharp. They go through cow hides. It only takes once to learn that they're sharp. So we want to be very careful and put them in, away, and most barns will have a sharps container that they manage. Now it's safe and clean and clear. Now we want to clean up our mess here. I'm going to take my cooler away. I'm going to rinse that out because I don't want the residual milk on it. I'm going to grab my chemical. I'm going to set it out of the way for now because I want to clean up my workspace. We're going to get this water and we're going to spray it down. Get everything wet. It's not going to hurt nothing, but we want to make sure that we get all the milk up. We don't want it to get stinky or soured. And ultimately, we want to leave the place as clean or better than we found it when we got here. I don't like to create work for the guys in the back there. They're always gracious and are willing to do it, but there's no reason to make them do it. Now, at this point, we have tested the milk. The milk is safe to load, and we know we're ready to go. Now we're going to take a quick evaluation of our plumbing so we know that the milk is going to go the right direction. The best rule of thumb to remember is the milk is lazy. We need to guide it where we want it to go. If we have the wrong valves open, we'll lose milk very fast, and we don't want to waste. That's not spilt milk, that's wasted milk. So we're going to come over here, and we know that this is the tank we're pulling from. And we know this is our pump system. So we want to stop the milk from going back this direction to the other tanks by blocking it off with that butterfly valve. Now we know the milk doesn't have a choice but to go out this direction. Now, with what we have here, this system here is used for their washout and line washing purposes. The plug is already in and it's already on. I don't need to worry about capping it, but you always want to verify that because the milk will dump out immediately. Now that we know that the milk's going to go where we want it to go, and we know that outside we're connected and our plunger's out and our lid is open, now it's time to do the fun part and let the machines work for us. We're going to go ahead and open this valve. I'm going to take one quick peek outside, verify that I'm setting pretty. So I'm open on the top. So now we have a process of we got to do our paperwork and all of our reporting. And just like everything else, I want to do it all the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out our phone, and we have two applications on our phone. One is called Samsara Driver, and this is a direct contact between us, our dispatch, and our office. And this one is going to come in handy at the end. Number two is the Milk Movement app. The Milk Movement app is the one where we collect all the data that gets transferred to the receivers and how we turn in our milk reports. So here we are at the beginning of it. We have our Route 137 and our invoice number that's attached. Actions, we are here to pick up milk. We are at T&K 348, and so we're going to say next, and then we always hit start agitator. Here we don't have to start an agitator because it's automatic. At other barns and other farms, we have to run an agitator in order for it to be received. Now that we've started that, we're going to hit next. We're going to go to milk temperature. And we know it was 38 point whatever. The point doesn't matter to us. All we need to do is put 38 in there. The sample method was septum. We use that needle. It'll be septum every time with the exception of one farm that we go to, and that one will be trained to you during your training. And then it's asking if it was used up, and the answer is no, because we were the first hole in it, and there's 7 of them. And then we're going to add samples. We're going to set this aside for now and fill out our samples now. These first 3 dates are going to be 6:46 in the morning. The date is 2/26/26, and the producer number is 348 for here at T&K. So we're going to go 348-4 because we're going out of tank 4. The route number 37, temperature was 38, and then we mark it. I'll let you get a good picture of that so that you can see, but it has our time that we came in, the date, the producer code and tank, the route, and the temperature, and then each of these are a little bit different on each one, but that's that. So we're going to fill the first 3 out that way. The end is called the anti-sample. So you've got the 2 standards, the TC, the tank collected one, and then the anti, which is up from the top of the tank. So we're going to do that, but that's normally about a half hour after this. So I'm going to add around 30 minutes to the time. The exactness in that isn't necessary, but it's important to be close. So I'm going to put about 7:15. So now we have our 4 sample stickers if you want to take a peek at that. Pardon the scratch outs. TC is for the 3rd one. Anti is for the 4th one. So now we're going to go ahead and attach these to our paperwork. So I'm going to hit add sample. And then I'm going to block those off because it's scanning the barcode. And now we've got the first one. I'm going to hide the first one, block the other ones, and get the second, and so on. All right, so those are done. We'll put those on our samples that are inside the shed there in a minute. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to tank. And we went to tank 4. Out here at T&K there's 9 tanks, 3 different barns. We're in tank 4. Is it empty? No. We're not going to be able to take 155,000 pounds. So we're going to hit no. And it's asking for our tare weight. The tare weight is 36,640. We don't know what the gross weight is until we scale out. So that gets left alone for now. At this point, we are going to do our seals and we're done with milk movement. So the way the seals work is you have to acknowledge the original seals from when this tank was washed and sterilized. So that's what we're going to do first. So we hit seals and we're going to manually enter them in. In order to do that, you got to select CIP vent. That way you can type in the number, and we're going to hit add. Now, here's the part that confuses some folks. We're going to do CIP vent again because you have to select that to manually enter it in. But we're going to enter that number the same one more time. Now we're going to go back up and we're going to change it to the top dome. And then we're going to hit add. Now, why are we doing the same number for both? Up on the top, you'll see the little tube inside the lid. That's your CIP vent. Have your top dome, which is also on the top lid. They're the same seal, 2 different items that are sealed up behind the same seal. So they get acknowledged as the same. There are some trailers that are separate, and when they are, then you'll have 3 seals to do. But for this one, it's 2. We're going to add one more seal, CIP vent, and now we're going to do our rear dust cover, which is the 1313 number. We got to go back up and change what we did, okay? Now it's the rear dust cover. Hit add. And you can go through and look and see that the top dome and the CIP vent are the same numbers. The rear dust cover is the different number. Now that we're getting a fresh load, we're going to cancel those out. And we're going to give new seals for what we're going to do. Now, this is critical, and we tell all of our trainees to do it this way. If you look at the number, you have a lower number and a higher number. We always put the higher number up on the top of the trailer because it's higher. We put the lower number on the lower because it's lower. A common sense move that helps you remember so you don't have to go back through your system to figure out which seal goes where. So we're going to fold them in half like that. Now, this is the bottom cover because it's the lower number. We're going to hit rear dust cover and then the scan bar. And now we're going to go ahead and scan that bar. It's in there. Hit add. Going to roll it over one more time. We're going to add a seal. And this is going to be our top dome. We're not resealing the CIP because it's been used now. And then we're going to hit number and we're going to scan. Now that's scanned and add. And if you'll look, the new numbers are right here, and it inactivated the rear dust cover and the top dome. You can see the inactive. So they are no longer reading for these, they're reading for those at the receivers. And then we hit save, and the cow's doing the boogie, and now we can set this aside for now. Our seals, our phone is our invoice. So today's date, we're at T&K Red River Dairy. The commodity is raw milk. You always put the temperature there too. We were 38 degrees. The seller is T&K Dairy, but they need the producer number. That's how we identify the dairy. 348, and then the tank, -4. The carrier is us, Agro. License number. This doesn't have anything to do with us, so we use this line for the route and invoice. So the route was 137. Invoice is XZS 42484. The truck number is 703. Trailer is 489. Shipper, we're taking this to Daisy. And when I scaled in, I was not on the scale, so I'm putting my name down, and now that invoice is done. And this is important to remember. There's information on here: truck and trailer, route and invoice, the dairy and the temperature, and then who delivered it. Those are key informations that you need for both receivers, UDA, and our company, so that everybody is paid appropriately. Now, we want to check and make sure how much milk we put in. So we're going to come over to the scale again, and we're going to look. We're in tank 4, and it's going down. We're at 112,000. Well, we were at 155,000. So I know that we put about 45 to 50,000 in. We can hold roughly 77,000. So I know I got about 20,000 pounds left to load. At this point, between 15 and 20,000 pounds, I climb myself up to the top of the tank and I watch for the milk to get to a certain level to come down and turn it off. So we're going to head out there now. We're going to put these samples on, everything but the anti, because we haven't pulled the anti yet. And we're going to get these labeled. And because they all came out of the same place at the same time, it really doesn't matter which one you put on which. It just matters that that's done in there and they're in the ice bath. And we'll wait for the anti at the end. I'm going to go ahead and go up top now and watch for our load to get full. This is the time when drivers tend to get complacent or distracted. And this is where you'll have things like overflow happen. That's a mess. And nobody wants to do that. I pride myself in the fact that I haven't done that because I come up at this point and I stay up here and I wait until the milk gets about 2 inches from the bottom of the manhole. And when you're about 2 inches, that allows you to get down off the ladder safely, walk into a wet room without slipping, and close the valve so you stop milk flow. And that'll bring it right up to the top and you'll have a perfect load every time. Right now, we're sitting at the level about right here. So it's coming. And what happens is at the end of the load, as the dome of the trailer is tapering, it'll speed up towards the end. Keep in mind, we have all that weight behind it pushing it. So there's still a lot of weight that's pushing this, so it's going to go faster than you think. And now it's hurry up and wait. You become faster and faster. Remember, smooth is fast. And if you remember the steps and you do it the same way every time, you know you never miss. And that's the biggest thing that I want to convey. When you do it the right way, you can move with purpose and you're not making extra trips back and forth, up and back the truck, and then inside and out of the barn. You're making decisive decisions and you're moving with a reason. And you're able to get this done. In a normal loadout, without full explanation, is about 40 to 45 minutes. Through training, you'll find that you reach about an hour, hour and a half, depending on how quick you grasp it. But as you develop and grow in the industry, you are able to get this down to about 45 minutes, which is about as fast as you can go because you're limited to the pumps. One of the things that I want to convey is a safety issue. When we shut down this truck and pump, we want to work from the inside, then we go outside, and we go to the pump. And we do it in that order for a reason. Inside to the tank, we shut the product off. Outside to the truck, we shut the plunger. And then, after all of that's done, we shut the pump off. If we don't do it in that order, you run the risk of running an overpressured line and it blowing off. I have learned from experience. I took a very cold milk bath in the middle of the winter at night. It gets cold fast. So you always want to work inside at the tank, outside at your trailer, and then shut the pump off finally. We're starting to get close. I've got about another 5-6 inches to go before it's time to climb down. The pace is going to start picking up now. 2 inches from the bottom of that manhole cover. So we're going to come over here and get things shut down. Remember, we're going to go inside. You can hear the change in the volume of the pump. We just cut off all of the milk to it. Now we're going to go outside. All right, now that we went inside and shut off the milk, it's safe to close the plunger. Remember, you do it otherwise, it'll maintain pressure. This type of pump doesn't continue to hold pressure once you've pulled the milk out of it. So now we can close it. You never want to grab a hold of that plunger. You always want to use this fitting because it can pinch your fingers and that doesn't feel good. So it's nice and tight. Now we're going to go right back inside and we're going to turn off the pump. All right, now it's time to start the shutdown process. So the number one thing that we want to remember that we're doing here is we were very careful to be clean and appropriate loading the milk. What we need to do now is be clean and appropriate storing the equipment that's going to continue to transport this milk. So what I do is after I've done that, you're going to find that there's a vacuum on this line. So when we crack these fittings, It's going to help backfeed this milk into the line. So we're going to come in here first. So we're going to take this fitting, unscrew it, and we're just going to drop it off like that. The cap will come off once the vacuum releases, but that way we're not here getting covered in milk on the ground. We want to crack and loosen these so that they will work with us. And because they're stainless fittings, once you get the bind off of them, they should go with hand tighten. So it back drains all that milk back down into that drain. And then we're going to snug those fittings up. We don't need to over torque them, we just want them snug, because what will happen is we're going to flush a line and they're going to come to a line wash. So they're going to sterilize the line for us. Again, we want to leave the facility cleaner than we found it. We just want to make sure that we're respectful to the farms, the farmers, the employees. We're all relying on this milk to get transported the right way. So we're going to run this milk on the ground down to the drain. And now we know that we're clean up here. Again, it was left on the ground. We're going to do it better. We're going to put it away the right way for the next person coming through. And then we got to get the right seal that we have over here. And remember what we said, the lower number for the lower, right? So we're going to separate our seals. We're going to place that right there because we got to go up top and still get our anti. So we're going to seal up the back. Sealed up back here. We're not going to touch that seal anymore. We're going to take a picture for our volumes, and that is up to the receiver to open up the back of this trailer for security, safety, and cleanliness purposes. The last step is to get the anti and seal up the top. Per the state of Arizona, we don't just use a sterilizer. We're going to go in and clean our ladle in the sink first, then we'll use that once we get up top. And sterilization, but this is to make sure that we're doing it right. And we can all use a little practice to make sure we know how to wash dishes. I'm going to get my sample and I'm going to seal up the trailer. Our ladle, make sure that we go about 6 inches up on the ladle handle. Now that we've got that done, we're going to stir the foam and the cream out of the way on the top. And then we're going to pull one ladle out and dump it on the ground. This is so we can get an accurate reading. There's a line on the vial, so you want to just make sure you fill it at least to that line. A little bit more is good. We never fill this vial up over the manhole cover. We always do it out over the edge. We close that up, set it aside. We close our lids. While we did it before, I'm a creature of habit. I like to always double check my caps up here to make sure they're snug and tight. I'm going to set that down, and I'm going to latch all my latches. And we're going to snug them down. Much like a car tire, you're going to go in a star pattern to make it even. You don't want it tight on one side and loose on another. And then you're going to seal the trailer, being cautious to make sure you get both the lid and the loop that's attached to the trailer. The job now is to finish our cleanup and do our volume submission. So in order to do that, we're going to grab our phone, open our Samsara. On our inbox, when you get your dispatch, it'll send you your route for the load. And this gives me my route and my invoice information, where I'm going and where it's going to. Now I'm going to do my volume submissions. When I open it up, it has all the information in there, and we went out of silo 4. So we're going to go inside and we're going to start with that. Look at our volumes here. And if you look at tank 4, it says 75,740, and because it's being agitated and moving, it's going to change on you. So just see a number on there and put it in. So tank 4. We're going to put 76,911. Now we go to tank 6. It's saying we're at 42,279. Now they want to know what tank are they milking into. We already know that it's tank 6 because we talked with the milkers. But if you don't know, you can always come back and look at plumbing. Each tank is going to have an inlet and an outlet. If this inlet is open, they're pushing milk, and you can always touch the metal. It's very cold and condensation. If you do that, you'll know that they're pumping into this tank. And then they want to know, what did we pull from? We pulled from tank 4. The milk temperature. This is why you want to take a picture with your phone. You can go to document, scan that document, pull it up, and now you have a picture of it, and you hit done. So So now they have a picture of that. Now we go outside for the last two pictures. So they want to know that the wrench was left for the next person. And then it wants pictures of our top and bottom. And now I'm going to go up top and do the same thing with the one up top. And then it's going to show that you're doing that. You don't want to change the screen until that black bar goes away. That's uploading pictures to the system. It's critical that we're accurate on our submissions, and the reason why is because this helps dispatch put us where the milk's at instead of having to wait on milk to get pumped. So it's important that we're accurate and honest in this. We've already dropped the cap on this line, and we're going to rinse our product line here and get all the milk out of it for the next person so it doesn't go stale or curdle. In order to do that, we need to follow our line and make sure that we're completely open to the water. Our valve is open. The easiest way to know if this valve is open or closed, whatever that handle is doing is what the butterfly valve inside is doing. So if it's crossing the line, it means it's closed. If it's going with the line, that means it's open. Obviously the tank is closed, so when it pushes water, it's going to go right out through there. And we're going to work our way down. We're going to check the next one. This one's closed. This one's open. This is our line. That's our product. So our line valve right here. So that valve is now open. We're going to come to the third one. And this is the last one. Again, we're closed, so we're not going to affect the milk. And we're open, so it's going to flow. We're going to walk ourselves right back here. And this is very hot water. Line valves aren't all the way open. What will happen is this will fill up, flood out, and get all over the place. That's why you want to make sure that's done, and you can watch down at the line as it goes. It takes a little bit because it has to fill up to flush. So we've got it open. And then if you watch down at the valve down there at the pump, it's going to eventually start flowing water out. And now the water's flowing, so I'm going to shut it off. And that's going to go ahead and do its thing and clear the line. As you can see, the water now is very clear. There's no milk in the line, but it's hot and sterilizing that line. Alrighty, the last thing that we're going to do is get scaled out so we can get on our way. The biggest thing to remember whenever you're coming to a scale, you need your phone, you need a pen, and obviously the scale ticket so that you can finish up. Here at T&K, there is a scale attendant that'll be here during the day, and they will help us get the final part. Good morning.
Good morning.
What we then do is we open up our milk movement, and we're going to get our gross weight now. They're going to tell us how much we put on. All right, and it tells us here that our gross weight is 107,560. And it's going to tell us what our weight is, which also matches what she put down. If she's not here, you'll always want to put that down, so that's on there. You're going to hit next, and then we're going to take a picture so we can attach this to all the paperwork. We say that looks good because we can read it. We're going to use that, and we're going to send pickup. And now it's getting the information. We're going to give her the paperwork back. She's going to take her copies because that's their money. That's how they get paid. And then we're going to take our copies, and that's our documentation. That is the process for collecting milk at T&K. Thank you very much.